Good morning. Welcome to our live talk program. This is Lord Grub here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program covering natural health on your Wednesday morning, Rise and Shine. And this morning here, we're looking at the topic health, lifestyle choices, or dieting, or lifestyle choices over dieting. This is what we're looking at here this morning. So, welcome again to our live talk program, and hopefully you had a blessed night rest and you're ready to take on today. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, we thank you again for the blessings of your word. We thank you again for the blessings, dear Lord, of knowing thee, the only true God. Pray that you may be with us, dear Lord, as we look into these things for our health, and may you guide us along, we pray, for Christ's sake. Amen. So we're looking here at lifestyle choices over dieting, and the why it's so important to be able to make those lifestyle choices. And when you do make those lifestyle choices, you get more long-term results for yourself. And so this is what you want to be able to do from day to day, to be able to have that lifestyle choice, that when you choose certain ways that you'll be able to maintain a healthy body weight without have to always go on a yo-yo diet. So this is what we're going to be covering this morning here. So I have an article to share for you, and then I have some health tips to share with you of how to be able to have a consistent weight where your weight doesn't fluctuate much. And as you do this, then you'll find that the choices that you make and how you eat from day to day are not, you're on a diet, so to speak, but this is just the way you eat. You eat in a way to maintain proper weight, and this is what you want. And this is what we're going to do this morning here. So we'll start off, before I go into the article. I have a few thoughts to share with you here before I go into the article. Now, what does Christ tell us about what the devil wants to do to us? Now, in John chapter 10, verse 9 and 10, it says, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and he shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So ultimately, one of the first principles that I believe in our lifestyle choices to maintain a healthy body and to maintain a fitter, slimmer body, according to your body type, is basically to understand that there are certain foods that we eat that they're robbing us financially, they're robbing us health wise, and they're not doing good for us because they're empty calories food. So a lot of the food that most people partake of, to me, fulfill this text in that the thief cometh to, as it says here, steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that's what it is when we have a deficient diet. So we could have a diet that is very voluminous, there's a lot of volume in the diet, but nutrient wise and quality wise is very deficient, but it will end up giving us the major diseases, whether it be diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, all these type of things that are primary lifestyle diseases. And so we want to be able to consider, most of what I'm going to talk about is going to be about improving your quality of your life, improving the quality of your experience on this earth while you're here and have breath in your body. And so again, the thief come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But Christ says, I'm come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. So we're simply talking about how to have that abundant life in Jesus Christ, how to be able to go through your day and basically get the most you can out of your day, energy wise, attention wise, and just mode wise, or mood. Your mood will be more upbeat when you eat foods that are nutrient dense more than food that are calorie dense. So some of that we'll talk about after I read the article. Just want to read about some of the new findings that they're looking into, is how the brain works. So very important, is the most of what you see that are, you rarely find a person that is eating a very nutrient dense diet that you're not going to find this, that a person eating a nutrient diet, nutrient dense diet, that will be obese, overweight, or anything like that, because the more the food on your plate, is filled with nutrients, then it is more the food is going to not make you gain weight. And very important. That's one of the principles. There's much more we're going to talk about towards the second half. And so when you get this and you understand it, you understand why you're not going to be robbed. You're getting the full benefits. And so a few more thoughts in this here. So think about the average food that's in the supermarket, the average food that is in the supermarket on the various different shelves and aisles that you go down the supermarket, they're primarily filled with energy. So it's normally fat, carbohydrate, and protein. That's the makeup of some food. And some food literally is just, this is the combination: fat, carbohydrate, and protein. You will not have any much nutrients or vitamins. As a matter of fact, you can buy a meal or buy foods in the grocery store and come out with a cart full of food, and all it has is fat, carbs, protein, and any vitamin or minerals that is in that food. It is put in there chemically. They're chemical vitamins and mineral. They're not naturally found, because most of your vitamins and mineral are found in food that are not processed, or food that are more like fruits and vegetables. So you could have foods that are so highly processed that in order for them to sell it as food legally by the FDA, they have to replace or put back in it what has been removed via processing chemical vitamins. So that person now spend their money and they say, well, I bought this packet of food, whatever it is, some Twizzlers or Twinkies or whatever, and they say it's food. And I say, well, no, it's energy, your three basic groups of energy with chemical vitamins. And so you might spend less for it, but in essence, you're being robbed and you're spending, basically wasting your money. So this is kind of how you want to be thinking. You are thinking that, again, a simple idea again is like, if you notice, most people who have bone density problem, they're low in calcium, or people normally eat huge volumes of food. So they're eating a lot of foods that are, claimed to be calcium rich food, like cow's milk, but yet they could be 100, 200 pound overweight, and yet they have bone problem where their bone is lacking calcium. So what's going on there? I thought it was just volume, and you need more meat, more milk, even more bone in your diet to make you have dense bone. But it doesn't work like that, because again, the text here is that the devil comes to steal and to rob you of what you already have and make you believe that you're benefiting, but you're really losing. So keep that in mind as we move forward. So when we think about it, one of the next principles I'm going to share I'll share one more principle before I go into the article. And it's found in Proverbs. This principle is found in Proverbs, two different verses from two different chapters of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 13 is to me one of the most beautiful two texts that I think are just always beautiful to share, just to kind of get us going here. Proverbs 24, verse 13 says, "My son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to thy taste." So here the Bible encourages us to eat honey. And as you know, the story of John the Baptist, that he was a consumer of honey. It was primarily a basis of his diet, a primary basis of his diet, or a cornerstone of his diet. And as you know, our bodies need sugar. We need a lot of sugar. The first thing that we partake of and we eat when we are born is sugar. The breast milk is sweet. And so our taste bud first develops sweet, and then later on it developed the other tastes, salty, savory, sour, that type of thing. So the tip of our tongue is what tastes sweet. So even the moment you put the food in your mouth, the food primarily is looking for sweet. So honey is great because honey is sweet, but sweet increase calories. Sweet can make you have diabetes. So then you say, well, why would the Bible give you a bad health advice? Just eat honey. Well, in Proverbs 25, verse 27, one chapter forward, you find the Bible balances out this advice. "It is not good to eat much honey, for for men to search their own glory is not glory." So in Proverbs 24, it says eat honey. In Proverbs 25, it says simply don't eat too much. And there's another principle that you want to have. You want to be able to know what you can eat a lot of and know what you can't eat a lot of. You need to know what is good, but too much of it can be a bad thing. And when you understand some of these things that we're going to talk about, I'm going to go back over some of these things towards the end after we come out of the article. Then you see why, as I say, What people need is not a diet. What they need is a permanent lifestyle change in their diet so that the way they eat is part of their lifestyle. Because when they do this, what will happen is that any result they get is permanent. So they never have to think about yo yo. If this is my lifestyle, this is my diet, this is what I eat permanently. So whatever result I get from that choice is going to be permanent. That's very straightforward thinking. But if a person say, I'm going on a diet because I have a wedding to go to in 2 months, well, great, you'll get results. But if you get results and you're happy with the results because the results are great for video and it's great for camera, so you can take a picture, well, wouldn't you want to have that result all the time? Wouldn't you want to be able to live where you feel free and you feel happy and healthy? Well, you make these choices permanent. So if I go to my article here, and this is an article taken from NBCnews.com, and it's entitled, What Happens to Your Brain When It Goes on a Diet, or when you go on a diet? You think we'd been dieting pros by now. These are countless, there are countless experts telling you they know the secret to getting slim by eating this or avoiding that. And then there's the old calorie in versus calorie out equation that seems so simple at the surface, but it is much harder when put in practice. And with 45 million Americans dieting each year and most people failing at those diets, there's much be so much there much be so much more going on underneath the call of snacks on kale chips and forget the call and Little Debbie. At the heart of the matter is a little thing called set point weight, says Stephen Goyenet, PhD, author of The Hungry Brain. Body weight is regulated by the brain. If you don't know that, you are going to be surprised when your brain and body start fighting back against weight loss, he says. This is at the heart of why diets don't work, says Sandra Ahmad, and this is a PhD, the author of Why Diet Make Us Fat. Whenever your weight changes too much, your brain will intervene to push it back to what it thinks is the correct weight for you. And you might not prefer the same weight your brain prefer. Many of us don't, she says. Guyanet likens the entire process to a thermostat. It's in your house. This device measures the temperature in your home and helps regulate it so that it stays stable. When the temperature goes up, the heat goes down, or the AC turns on, and vice versa. In your brain, your thermostat is the hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus will activate physiological and behavioral response to maintain your body temperature. For instance, if you're cold, you may shiver or put on a sweater, Guyanet explained. A similar thing happens in your brain when it comes to how much body fat you are carrying. Your brain measures the level of body fat using leptins, a hormone that's secreted in your bloodstream in proportion to the amount of fat you carry, says Guyanet. Higher levels of leptin in your bloodstream means more fat on your body. You may have heard of leptin before, called one of the hunger hormones, along with ghrelin. In terms of leptin, it decreases your hunger. What happens to your brain when you get on a diet? But this is what happens to your brain when you get on a diet. But here's where things get tricky. Everyone has a certain level of body fat that their body are happiest at. Your brain will defend this amount just like it defends your body temperature, explained Guyanet. As you lose weight, the amount of leptins in your bloodstream drops. And that's where the trouble starts. It sends a signal to your brain to help you fight to bring that fat back. Of course, that's the exact opposite effect you're going for, but it's hard to beat out biology. Guyanet calls this classic starvation response. And I'll pause there because starvation response is simply when you have a person in a mode where it's like you're going on a fast. Normally, if you're going on a fast, there's just a certain period of time that you have to get used to being hungry, and the hunger pains are still there, but it's not as acute. Your body start to readjust, it start to hold back water, it start to do all kind of things to survive. The brain goes in a survival mode. Well, this is one of the problems, basically because of that fat set point where the brain knows how much fat the body has on, and the brain start to readjust to basically keep itself fat, because the brain just think this is normal. So if you want to break the normal, you have to really work hard to break it, in other words. So we continue reading. So Guynet called this classic starvation response. Your brain responds by upping hunger and making those donuts in the break room that you've been sitting out for 4 hours look actually yummy and ensure craving are impossible to ignore. Physiologically, your metabolic rate slows so you can conserve energy and send it right back into building up fat stores, he says. As a 2011 study in the New England Journal of Medicine shows, these compensatory mechanism driving weight gain lasts for at least 1 year, a long time to spend battling your body. What happens to your brain when you go on a diet? So imagine, pause here again. You have a year, so the body will go on fighting you for a year to maintain a certain weight. So I think this thing type of stuff goes in reverse. If you're trying to gain weight, you'll find that it becomes difficult because your body's going to fight you because your body's used to a certain size. If you're going to lose weight, your body will do the same thing. It will fight you because the body is trying to maintain a certain size because it's so used to you being a certain size. Continue reading here. It says the hunger is what may really do you in. Sometimes you don't even realize you're eating more, but when you're below your set point, you end up eating more to maintain the same hunger level as you did before. That's why it's impossible to maintain a healthy diet and still gain weight back. And I'll deal with that in later on. You can imagine why it is so hard to lose weight and even harder to maintain that weight loss. You can do it for a time, but eventually your brain will win out and you'll stand in your kitchen eating straight from the container of Ben and Jerry's. What happens to your brain when you go? This is what happened to your brain when you go on a diet. Now, continue reading here. It says there were binging. That's where binging come in. Whereas you might never have considered polishing off a sleeve of Oreos in the past, your dieting self feel like it's necessary. In lab experiments, when scientists want to induce rodents to binge eat, the most reliable method for doing it is to reduce food intake until they are at a lower weight and then expose them to super tasty food like Cocoa Puffs and Oreos. Ahmad explained. She adds that in human research, some studies that look at the brain shows that this type of junk food activates reward centers even more fiercely in those who have lost weight. And she says animal research may suggest that repeat dieting makes the brain more vulnerable to binge behavior even after the diet is over. It turns out dieting is one of the best way to gain weight. If you follow people over a long term, dieters are more likely than equivalent non-dieters to end up gaining weight over the next 2 to 15 years after diet. Dieting is stressful and it triggers an increase in stress hormone which are linked to weight gain, particular visceral belly fat. It also makes you suppress and ignore your hunger. Over time, that can make you less responsive to your natural hunger cues, making it harder to listen to your body and allow it to regulate your weight. You become more at risk of emotional eating and eating out of boredom and are more vulnerable to environmental cues that tells you to eat more than your body actually wants. She continues. So remember here my topic that this is why I believe that the lifestyle changes just simply is what is more needed. You do a lifestyle change and you say, this is the new way I'm going to eat, and not starving yourself, because normally you starve yourself, then your body almost gonna, like it's a rubber band, it just hit back. And then when it hit back, you get out of control. Because I've seen people over and over again, they'll say they're going to cut carbs out. You can't do that, because if you cut carbs out, what happens sooner or later? Your body is going to so crave the carb that when you get close to a bread, or you probably drive past a bakery, your body's going to feel like you're going crazy. Your mind is going to feel like you're going crazy, because you're just going to crave that piece of bread so much that it's just you're gonna not eat one slice. You're gonna probably eat half a loaf, and then there's where the weight comes back on rapidly. And so it's like anything else. If a person is hungry, when they get to a plate of food, they do some damage. So back to the article again. It says Q post weight gain and then some. In fact, those though the risk of yo-yo dieting have been contested, one 2016 study found that repeatedly going through these starvation cycles prompts your body to gain more weight. If you want to drop a few pounds, or say 50, or your doctor recommends it, this doesn't mean that you have to abandon your get healthy pursuit, though it's worth saying that being slim doesn't automatically equate to being healthy. What you have to know is that the answer is simply not to eat less. Do that and you'll butt up against the starvation response and you will lose. An easier, more sustainable method is to do things that make your brain more comfortable at a lower weight. Ultimately, you can lower your set point weight so that your body is happy carrying around less fat. He points out that animals and human research suggests that eating a diet of unrefined, low calorie density and simple foods is key. That's fresh, whole foods enjoyed as nature intended. So rather than ordering fried zucchini and calling it a veggie, you eat that zucchini grilled or with a little salt. Instead of eating candied nuts, you eat plain nuts. If it sounds boring or far less flashy than most diets, it might be, but this also involves skipping the calorie counting. So many of us are bad at it anyway, and letting those unconscious circuits in your brain take cues from your diet and exercise habit and naturally lowering your weight for you. Other important non-diet factor key to weight loss includes regular physical activity, managing your stress, and getting the right amount of sleep. That's 7 to 8 hours for an adult. That is important for you to be able to burn weight. It's also important to ask yourself if losing weight is a reasonable expectation. Sometimes it's not. You may overestimate how much health danger your weight actually poses, or you may not even need to lose weight in the first place. So, advocate for a style of eating called intuitive eating is not a non-dietary approach that allows you to listen to your body and nourish it with what it wants. And so, sometimes you have to just go for the kale instead of the brownies. So I'll stop there, and this article just came to an end. And so what I want to do here now, I want to go over some health tips that are intimated here in this article, or stated in the article clearly, that are important for us when we're thinking about weight loss, or thinking about, sometimes you could call it weight loss, you could call it, like they said in this article here, reducing your body set point. So if your body set point is you're used to being 50 pounds overweight, and whatever that weight is for you, based upon your height and so forth. If you want to reduce that, you say 50 pounds too much on, or 100 pounds too much on, or it could be even 500 pounds too much on. The process is always the same. Number one that was stated there in the article is that you don't want to feel hungry. And that's important. You don't want to go into the experience that after you finish eating or in between meals, you feel hunger. Now, this one takes a little bit of time to get to. And the reason why is because your body, is used to eating certain type of food. And if you used to eating, say, a plate, say 2 plates of food, that's what you used to eating. And you're going to diet, and the diet is put you on 1.5 plates, 1 plate of food. What will happen is that you're starving, and your body will basically almost go into like hibernation. Your body will hold off for a while, and it will readjust to the starvation. And then now it's going to come back and it's going to get you. And then you're going to go somewhere and you're just going to eat probably 3 plates of food or 4 plates of food. That's where the problem comes in. So what you want to be able to do is start to work with your body to almost is like you're tricking the body in making the body think that you're still eating the regular way you used to eat by not so much changing the volume that is on the plate, but changing the composition of what's on the plate. And so the composition of what's on the plate is a major step. So you will put in foods that are more nutrient rich and less energy dense, but there's still volume. So you could eat a plate of food that you sort of train yourself to eat more, say, steamed vegetables or fresh vegetables, more whole grain, so to speak. So corn, white, instead of white rice, brown rice, instead of like say mashed potato with gravy, you probably use the batata or the cassava. But batata, basically what I'm talking about there, if you don't know, is the Chinese yam. So basically it's like the American yam, similar to that look, but it has a different flavor, but it's sweet. So you sort of find things that taste great, but they have less calories and they have higher amount of nutrients. And you sort of replace stuff on your plate so that your plate become healthier. You start to use more broccoli, more kale, cooked kale, more collard greens, anything that will bug you up, fill you up, but in general, you don't have to count the calories. You just know that this plate is the same volume. It makes me feel as full, but it doesn't have the same amount of nutrients. And when you do this, what will simply happen is that your body will always feel full. So your brain will think you're getting the same volume of food. But what it is, you're getting the same volume for true, but less calories. So it has less energy. The less energy you have in your meal is the less your food. It's the less you're going to want to basically store because you have not enough energy to store. So your body's going to start burning the fat that you already have. Another important thing when it comes on to readjusting your set point is the timing of your meal. The timing of your meal is important because the timing is so important for this idea here. So normally how we normally eat a light breakfast, a decent lunch, and then a heavy dinner. That's normally the American way of eating, or universal. That's what most people eat. You come home and you have a full day's work, and you come home and you eat a large plate of food. But the best way to eat is to flip that, is to eat a large breakfast, a decent lunch, and a light dinner, and even sometimes no dinner. What I mean by that is you eat something that's so light, like fruits, smoothie, a bowl of vegetables, like a salad, something that's so light. So number one, so that's one thing. You flip the way you eat. You'll find normally people trying to lose weight is always connected with people eating late at night. It's just like it goes hand in hand because you're supposed to be eating at least the last meal is supposed to be 4 to 5 hours before you go to bed, minimum. I would say really even 5 hours before you go to bed. So if you're going to go to bed at 10 o'clock, your last meal is supposed to be at 6 o'clock. So you give enough time for the meal to digest. But normally you find that a person that eat late at night is impossible for them to lose weight. And then eating a large meal late at night makes it even more impossible. The other thing about helping reducing your set point is actually not snacking and then eating your meal in a good spacing. So a good spacing normally is about 5 hours. Now, most actually, if you have a meal that if you overeat, it will take more than 5 hours to digest, or if the meal is filled with too much calorie dense food, especially meat, and if the meat is like beef, pork, that type of thing, it's going to take even longer to break down in the stomach and get out of the stomach into the small intestine. So anyhow, you want to be able to eat with that good 5 hours interval break in between. Because what it does, it gives the body enough time to break down the last meal and to start assimilate it. And then the stomach is empty, so you can get to the next meal. As it gets to the next meal, the body is able to process. In that processing, the body goes on like on a fast, and then you're able to limit the calories. Because I'm sure you meet so many people, they say, I don't eat large meals. But what they do, they eat straight through the day. They're grazers. They eat like cows. And when you eat like that, you're going to get big as a cow. So what you want to basically do is to start off by limiting the amount of intake time. So you intake 2 to 3 times a day. Depends on how much food you intake per meal, because many people, they can go literally on 2 meals. Some people can go on 3 meals, but there's never a need to go on 4 or 5 meals unless you're, I don't know, cutting trees down for a living or something. So again, you limit the meals to 2 to 3 times a day, and you space them evenly out at about 5 hours interval. And then at night, when you go to bed, you're going to bed on an empty stomach. There's more I'm going to say here, but I'm going to say this to you, that there is just not this type of advice that I give right here in the beginning. You could try 100 different things. You could even try exercising, and you will not get the results you can get from just what I just said to you. The composition of the meal, the intervals of the spacing of the meal, the time when the largest meal is eaten, and simply not snacking, and making sure that the meal gives time to digest. You do that, and for most people that would probably fix 70% of all the problems that people will face when it comes on to not gaining weight. And so this is why I say, it's if you choose a lifestyle, the lifestyle will dictate. Most people, the problem is they can't make that switch, because most of us, as I know, we start off our day either not eating a breakfast, so we don't break our fast because we ate so late the night before, or we eat just a small meal in the morning when we're burning the most calories. And so the time to eat a heavier meal is when you get up and your bodies get going. So most people can't make that switch, because that's, when you're used to something all your life, well, the result is creating the problem. But if you can break yourself into that switch and break that habit and make it become a lifestyle, where when you're morning, you're eating your breakfast, which is really your dinner, and then you eat a decent lunch, and in the evening, you're either done for the day, or, because some people can't be done for the day, or you're eating something light, just something to just give you some nutrients and keep you going, then you'll be fine. Another important factor when it comes on to weight loss that is kind of obvious is to decrease or to remove. For me, I believe in removing all animal protein or all animal products. And the reason why, because animal products are linked, and more scientists is catching up with this, that is linked to cancers and other dangerous diseases, because you're eating the disease. The animals are diseased. The animals are in a worse condition than us. The earth is polluted, and the earth is messed up, so to speak, and getting worse. The things that get affected the most by this type of this reality of the earth and its pollution and its lack of nutrients is the animals. See, let's say it this way. The difference between us and the animals is that the animals, if they feel tired, they don't go to a doctor and say, "Doctor, I need a blood test. I need for you to check to see where my hormonal levels are. I need for you to check to see where my nutrients levels are. And I need for you to check if I have a disease." The animals don't do that. And I'm being straight here. So what does that mean? It means that the animals, when they have a sickness or a deficiency that they're going to pass on to you when you eat them, they have no way of correcting it. And so if the animal has a sick disease like mad cow disease, you're not going to say, hey, doctor, I want you to check here. My brain don't feel right. Well, the animal is going to just go through its processing cycle on the farm, and then they're going to chop it up and feed it to us. As they feed it to us, we're eating the diseased animal or the nutrient deficient animal. I remember nutrient deficiency creates disease. And so when you have an animal with a diseased body, you eat it, you're eating the animal's sickness. And normally, if your diet is composed primarily or on a daily basis of animals, what it is you're eating on a daily basis, the weaknesses and the sicknesses of the animals. This is why it's best to remove this. Now, again, when we talk about weight loss, it's important to note that it becomes even double difficult and very hard to lose weight while having animal products as part of your diet, because animal products normally is dense in calories, so high amount of fat primarily and high amount of protein. So when you remove this from your diet, what it will do will help you be able to deal with disease better, and also weight loss or maintaining a healthy weight better. It just makes it easier, because you're reducing your chances of, say, cancer by tenfold. You're reducing 10 times less to come down with a cancer. It doesn't mean that you cannot, because again, cancer is just a manifestation of broken rules in our body. But we're not having the broken rules from the animals that are abused on the farm, eating that in our body and then taking on the animal sickness. So again, when we think about cancers associated with consumption of animal products, we're normally talking about bladder cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer. Colon cancer really should have been on the top of the list, but I'm reading this in alphabetical order. Endometrial cancer, intestinal cancer, again, top of the list. Kidney cancer, leukemia, top of the list. If you see a child coming down with leukemia, almost guaranteed that it's linked to chicken eating. Chickens are high in leukemia, and this is where the major source of leukemia cancer comes from. Lung cancer, lymphoma, oral pharyngeal cancer. Again, you take in the cancerous meat and put it in your mouth and then chewing it up and then swallowing it. The first place that the cancer is exposed to is the mouth. Similar to people who smoke, they normally come down with oral cancer, oral pharyngeal cancer, and people who do oral sex normally come down with oral pharyngeal cancer. Again, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, and stomach cancer. All these cancers are primarily linked to meat consumption. So it's not just that you're going to lose some weight by adjusting your diet, but also you're going to be able to reduce your the possibility of coming down with cancer by tenfold. That's worth the benefit. And as I say, you look at the regular diet and you say, hey, let's increase our ability to eat nutrient dense food and reduce the calorie dense food. And the first thing you want to cut out of that plate to make it easier is just to cut out animal products. And all of a sudden you find, oh, this is much easier. This is more doable. And so again, we want to adjust the composition of the plate. We want to make sure that we're eating in the proper timing. That's another lifestyle change. And here we want to be able to reduce the amount of meat. Now, right there again, we have more to come. But right there again, you just lost some weight. Even just me telling you, you just lost some weight. just thinking about it. This is how beautiful this is. You will have success. That's just the reality. All right. And so I'm going to take some more points here that I think is important. And just think about these things that are part of things in our diet that will increase our weight gain. That's why I say when you make lifestyle choices, it makes it easier for you to maintain a healthier body. So most naturally, as I say, animal protein would be top of the list. High salt food. If you have a bad habit of before you start eating, you grab the salt shaker and just pour on the food, you need to cut that out. That's a straightforward what I can tell you. Before you start eating, don't grab the salt shaker. Actually, taste the food and make sure the food is not salted enough. Then you grab the salt shaker, because sometimes it is necessary. I've eaten food where I think the person that's cooked the food is protesting salt. And salt is important for the body. It's one of the only minerals that the body require in a, that's probably not a natural state, because there's some things that has salt in it, high amount of salt, like celery, but the body uses this, as you know, a lot of times when you go exercise and you sweat out a lot of your mineral, and then you take electrolytes in and so forth. So anyhow, but you still have to maintain or look at what you're eating and make sure it's not over salted. So hopefully you got that. Caffeine is not good for the system, especially when you're doing weight loss, because of caffeine is a diuretic. It will make you drop a lot of water. It make you urinate a lot. So you don't want to be partaking of caffeine when you're trying to lose weight. And this is just part of a healthy diet. Caffeine, normally, I always say that, if I hear a person say, oh, they're a caffeine addict, I say, give them until about 40s or early 50s, they'll die of pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer and caffeine abuse is just like go synonymous. Before Steve Jobs died, I say, okay, give him a little bit more time, he'll die soon. And I remember before the guy Hugo Chavez from Venezuela died, I like say, watch him, he's gonna die soon of pancreatic cancer. Because these people were known as massive consumers of caffeine, and pancreatic cancer is just like wildfire; it just kills you. And so you want to be able to do this not only for your health, but also for your weight loss, because these things are not good for you. Refined sugars, most naturally. One of the quickest ways you can kill or cut your calories is just to not eat refined sugars. And remember, when we talk about refined sugars, I believe sweet is great, but if you can limit your refined sugars, you're limiting your calorie intake. And so when I say the refined sugars, I don't just mean the white sugar by itself. I mean, you cut off or cut out cakes. You cut out anything that is filled with sugar in any form, any type of sugar. It doesn't matter how better the sugar is. It's okay. You can cut it out or cut it down, reducing it. So refined sugars in all its different forms, you want to cut it down. Even your sugary beverages that are made from concentrate or not from concentrate, but they're cooked, they're really syrup. So you take your orange juice, your pineapple juice, all those type of juice, you want to reduce them. You want to pick the bottle up and look at how much calories you're partaking in fluid form. Because remember, it's fluid, so you can eat it you can drink it down real fast. Same thing with anything with high fructose corn syrup. You want to definitely cut that stuff out, because what it is adding calories to you that you can't imagine, because you're drinking it. And so when you drink it, this and milk, when you're drinking it, you don't think, well, I'm drinking down all these calories because it's fluid. So you're not thinking, wait a minute, I'm drinking all the calories. So you want to be able not only pick up the box or the bottle, read it to kind of get an idea how much calorie you're taking in. And then think about it, that it's easy for you to take down the whole box within a day or two. So you want to be able to limit this primarily. And if you're really in a bind and you really need to lose weight and lose it fast, you go right in and cut it out. Also, nicotine is not good because it causes cancer, but it can trick your body, because some people who smoke, they'll keep slim, and they say, well, I keep slim because I'm smoking. Well, you're doing other things to your body, and so it's not really a true expression because you're not really eating. And so this is why normally you see a person who smoke like tobacco, normally they look dried up and like a prune. They look burnt and their skin look like they need some water, some hydration. Same thing with people who drink coffee. And if the person does a combination where they drink coffee and smoke, wow, they look like beet. And so you want to be able to cut these things out and start to partake of nice fruit juices, nice, some clean water, fresh water. When I say fresh water, I mean not tap water, and so forth. Antacid damages the stomach, so you don't want to be using antacid. Antacid, they contain aluminum, not good for the stomach, and that's the type of thing. Drugs that affect your weight. So antibiotics can affect your weight, steroids can affect your weight, and thyroid hormones can affect your weight. Vitamin A supplements also can affect you in a very negative way, and this can cause you to lose nutrients. So everything I just mentioned here also can cause you to lose nutrients. So this is why a person can be 200 pounds overweight and they are deficient in every single nutrient profile that you can match them on. Each individual can be slightly different, but a person can be deficient and still be 200 pounds overweight. So you think, how can they be 200 pounds overweight? They have 200 pounds and extra whatever. But the problem is, it's not 200 pounds of extra nutrients they have. It's not like they're having a sack of extra blood in reserve. It's 200 pounds of fat. So that doesn't mean the person is really healthy. It just means the person has more junk, waste, calories that needs to be burnt. So this type of stuff doesn't lead to more nutrients because the person partake of these things or overheat. It just simply means that the person is stacking fat, or basically energy, is stored energy. That's what it is. You go to the refinery, they normally have these big massive containers, and these containers, what they have on them is oil. This is a stored energy for future use, and we can be just like that. We restore energy on our body. So some simple other health advice here for you as we continue here. Some more health advice about how to maintain a healthy body. Hopefully my stream come up here. Okay, yeah, sorry for that. You see my stream right now a little bit. So so when we talk about eating, again, we're talking about how to readjust the caloric intake. So how much calorie we are partaking of. So one of the things that is obvious is that, like I just mentioned with the refineries, they have to process more than they're shipping out, and they have to keep some in storage because sometimes you're going to need a call. There's going to be more demand. Sometimes demand's going to be less. So you have to be able to predict ahead of time when you're going to need more demand, when you're going to need less demand. So, but what the refineries will do, most naturally, they'll store oil or gas or whatever you call it, but it's energy. As it is, just pure energy. So in the storage of this energy is the same thing our body does, because it's storing it for a time when you're going to need it. So if you're going on a trip or you're going to go on a hike and you're going to be in the mountains for, say, 3 days, you're going to need some stored energy because you're probably not going to be eating because you're on the walk. On a walk or a hike, so you're not going to be eating as much calories. So while you're up there, you're burning the storage. Anyhow, so it's fat that is on the body, and that's what you're trying to get rid of. You're not trying to get rid of muscle. You're trying to get rid of fat. So one of the quickest way and the easiest way to deal with fat is just to limit the amount of fat you take into your body, and also the type of fat. So the best way to deal with it is literally just to cut back on oil, free oils. So it doesn't matter how healthy the oil is, you limit it. And one of the fastest way you can do it is limit it to 2 to 3 tablespoons per day. So that means you just look around what you're doing. You don't have to really even seriously count this. Just know, in your food you're cooking, think about how much oil you pour in the food. Think about how much oil you put on, on whatever, how much salad dressing you eat, how much butter. Some people use butter like it is a spread. And so they don't do a thin layer of butter. They pour the butter on, and the butter becomes like if you have 2 slices of bread and butter, it becomes like a sandwich filling. That's how some people eat butter. So some of that things you're gonna cut out, because the fat is basically just gonna be stored because it's so much extra. So you want to limit the fat. And one of the quickest ways to limit fat in your diet is simply just to take the fat or the oil, the free oils, and you pour it on last. So that means you don't cook the thing in the oil. You don't saute, if you can avoid sauteing in the oil, but you put it on at last, because the oils make things taste better, as you know. Oil, normally say oil is like a carrier. They call it carrier oil because it transfers essence, it transfers flavors, and so it makes your tongue taste the flavor easier, because that's what oil does. And so you still don't want to starve yourself from the oil, because then when you do get some food with some deep fried food, you're just going to scarf it down. You're going to eat a lot of it. So you still want to kind of trick the brain or the tongue into feeling satisfied with oil. So what you want to do is, like, you can saute. So you're going to saute some onions. That's a good example here. So you're going to saute some onions. What you do, you take the onion and you put it in the pan, the saucepan, the frying pan, whatever it is. After you cut it up, and you pour water in it, and you basically bring it to make it look succulent or make it look like translucent, where you can see through it. You bring it to that state with just water. So you make it almost cook or steam in the water. And so this way the onions will become translucent, but it will do it without oil. And after you've done that, then if you need some oil in the food, you do it at the end so the oil doesn't get soaked up into the food. And so the oil disappears. So when you're now eating the food, you will taste the oil, you get the transfer of the flavors to your tongue via the oil, but you're not getting, you can control the amount. But normally you cook with the oil gets soaked into the food, and most of that oil, you're really not getting the full taste of it because it's in the food. And as you know, with many people, they don't even chew their food properly, so it's not like they're squeezing out all that oil out of the food. And so, as I say, I'm going to be honest with you, the food is not going to taste as great as if the oil is dripping out of it. But it will still, I'm just still telling you a trick where you can basically get the flavors of the food still there without having the oil have to go all the way into the middle of so you're cooking rice or you're cooking whatever it is you're cooking, and you need oil in it to make it, have a certain flavor. You still can do it by putting the oil in last. So just before you serve it, you pour extra oil on it, and then you can limit the amount of oil, because remember, free oils in is free oil stored. You want to limit the fat that's going in. If you can limit your fat by cutting out the animal products and the free oils and the deep fried food, what will happen is that you follow these few steps that I give here, and you'll find that immediately you will start lose weight, because what it is, you're limiting the free oils, you're limiting the stuff that is going to make you store that extra energy. So if you can starve the body of the extra, what the body will start doing is burn the storage, and then you will start losing weight. But then the set point will be overcome, because this is now not a dietary change you're making, or you're still tricking the body into thinking that it's still partaking of the same type of foods. You're just readjusting the food. Few more before we go here. So most naturally, again, you eat a high fiber diet. A high fiber diet is obvious. The higher the diet is, the higher the fibers in the diet is, the more you're gonna have better flow, because normally you can compare weight gain or inability to lose weight with constipation. And so you want to have a higher diet. You eat full, as we had said before. Make sure that as you start to make some good substitute, you get the green soybean, which is called edamame, and you add that to your diet, so it will be less calorie dense, but you will be adding something that's very good. It will help fill you up, and so you make your plate look more colorful. Basically, that's another way to say it. Put more color on your plate, more carrots, corns, edamame, broccoli, kale, anything with color. Just put it in there and eat it, and then limit the rice and the protein. And what we'll find, when you do that, now you'll still feel full. You can even feel stuff. But by the time your body processes it, the body's not pulling all that calories out. It's just pulling nutrients, because these foods are lowering calories but high in nutrients. And then now you'll feel hungry again. The next meal you do the same thing. You eat the full, fill your stomach up, and then you stop and you wait till the next meal. So what again, the body processes again, it's going to process all that nutrients and less calories, and then slowly will start burn the fat they have on the outside. Most essentially, it's important if your doctor think you can do it. It depends on the size, your weight, the amount of weight you have. But if you can do like a 30-minute walk 3 times a week, if you can get up to 4 or 5, God bless you. You do that. So you do exercise regularly. Your number one exercise, most centrally, is walking. And if you can walk 30 minutes, then walk 5. Believe me, five times a week, walking 5 minutes will give you results. Your body will, because basically all these things, you're readjusting your brain set points. If your brain is used to a couch potato lifestyle, and you start to walk, what it is you're going to do is that you're going to readjust your brain set point, and it's going to used to that walk. And then sooner or later you'll be able to do 10 minutes and then 30 minutes and so forth. And so you want to make sure this is what you do. Another important point here that is important always for weight loss is to know that your primary food that we're created to eat is fruits. So this is the food that, according to the Bible, according to Moses, and according you will testify to be true when you do this, is that if you increase the volumes of fruit, because remember, fruit is the only thing that you can have in unlimited amount, and it will never affect you. You'll never meet somebody that is eating, say, a fruitarian diet or eating high volumes of fruit that has a weight problem. You don't gain weight from fruits and vegetables. You normally gain weight from eating protein, carbs, and fat, and too much of it. And so that's what it is. You're never going to see a person eating whole heads of lettuce and having a weight problem. Our weight problem comes from just too much calorie dense food. So you want to be able to eat as much as is possible that you can get your hand on, and readjust your thinking that when you go to the store, if you can get a fruit that you love that is sweet and tree ripe, and you're not gonna, it's not bland and mushy, and you can get it by, say, a box. You go ahead and buy it by a box. You eat it by the case. You eat it until you're stuffed, and what you'll find out is that you'll eat it until you're stuffed, and then a few minutes later you'll be hungry again. You can just never eat enough fruits. Remember, Adam and Eve, what they lost from the Garden of Eden was fruits, and that's what they lost, and that's the sad loss. And if you ever tested what I'm talking about, you will testify that that is true. When you eat high volumes of fruit, your body just loves you, and you just love yourself. It's just so beautiful, because your system just gets what it needs. Remember, it was a fruit that we lost that has the key to eternal life. And nowadays, as you know, the conversation goes, all the scientists are looking into superfruits, because what they're realizing is that what we need is more fruits. When we get the fruits, it had nutrients to our body. It flushes our system out. It gives us the energy that we need. It basically extends our lives. That's one of the only things I know I can eat in high volume, and not only feel great and have a lot of energy, but feel like it reduces my age. So instead of me going forward age-wise, I reduce. So you want to eat as much fruit as you can. Right now, we're in the apple season, pear season, the citrus season, which probably got damaged because of the hurricanes that came through. But you want to be able to eat as much as you possibly can. Eat high volumes of whatever food you can get that is sweet. Most actually has to be sweet, as you won't be able to eat a lot of it. All the foods that they send to us are dipped in hot water and they taste horrible. And so sometimes that's a problem. And so when you consider that, you will know, again, real quickly, high volumes of water. You want to be able to always flush your system with fresh water. And so when I say fresh water, I mean spring water, distilled water, filtered water. This is the type of water you want to get in your system. When you do this, you'll have a great time. So remember, lastly here, that one of the ways to basically readjust your set point is that you have to readjust it in your mind also. So you have to imagine a new you. Just imagine a you that is smaller, that is have more energy, that has a better mental mood. Your mood increase. You have to imagine a you that's fitter, you that is just happier and just lighter. If you can't imagine yourself like that, then it's going to be difficult for you to readjust your set point, because remember, there's a mind-body connection. And although the brain is thinking one way, you have to first mentally, thought-wise, readjust your weight and readjust you. You know, you're going to have a new experience, and this is the best time to have it, because it's best to go on a change like this time of the year. And somebody say, why? Because it's always good any time of the year. You just want to do it whenever it's right, and now is the right time. You don't want to do it because it's a New Year resolution. You know, you just want to do it because you're moving in a better direction for your own life and health. And so this is what you want to do. So you want to readjust in your thinking. If you readjust in your thinking, then the physical changes that I tell you will be easier, because you're committed to a new lifestyle. This is the new you. This is the way you're going to eat and live. And you want to feel super every day. I want you to feel super every day. And so this is why I encourage you to do this. Let us pray. Our Father who art in heaven, we thank you, dear Father, for your word and your truth. I pray, dear Lord, that you may bless each and every one of us here, that we might truly, dear Lord, not only bring honor to thee by the way we think and the things that we say, but the way we live. I mean, our lifestyle, we reflect a God that calls us, dear Lord, to self-control. May you bless us, we pray, for Christ's sake. Amen. Thanks again for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow morning when we should talk about current events. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.